Hello there, good people. Welcome to It's a Shaw Thing. I'm your host, Rob Shaw, here to talk a little fantasy football. Today we discuss the keepers at the wide receiver position. We'll start off with the top four. They're rather obvious, the best of this season. Larry Fitzgerald, Andre Johnson, Calvin Johnson, and Greg Jennings as well. Now, Fitzgerald, obviously, this guy's only getting better and better over time, particularly in the postseason. Then you have to consider the fact that Anquan Boldin might try to get traded this offseason, so Fitzgerald is clearly a guy to hold on to. As far as Andre Johnson, again, a guy who continued to get healthy this year and finally put up the numbers we knew he could, but 1,500 plus is something special. Calvin Johnson, on a horrible team that could not get a single win, still put up over 1,300 receiving yards. Can't wait to see what happens if they draft a quarterback with the first pick overall. And then as far as Greg Jennings goes, he's the one who formed the nice rapport with Aaron Rodgers. Don't worry about James Jones. Don't worry about Donald Driver. This is the guy to key on when it comes to Green Bay's offense. Next up, Steve Smith, Roddy White, Anquan Boldin, and Terrell Owens, all worthy of holding on to in your fantasy league. Steve Smith, for starters, yeah, he's always a little bit of a risk when it comes to injury or character, but at the same time, the numbers he put up this year were solid and amongst the best, considering he missed 2 games of the year. Roddy White proved to be a star, and guess what? He's got a great quarterback to throw the ball to him now with Matt Ryan in Atlanta. You've got to hold on to him. Anquan Boldin's a little bit of a question mark, a little bit injury prone because he plays so hard, and then also the fact that he's very unhappy in Arizona, even though they're making it to the Super Bowl, might not be enough for him. He wants mega bucks, and I'm not sure Arizona's going to be handing them out to him, so he might end up getting traded, but still one of the elite wide receivers in my opinion. And then finally, Terrell Owens is a guy that is a little wacky out there. Don't know if he's going to necessarily be in Dallas either, but the numbers are legit year after year. Double-digit touchdowns, over 1,000 receiving yards, the type of numbers you want to keep. Finally, 4 more guys you certainly want to hold on to. Randy Moss, Brandon Marshall, Reggie Wayne, and Wes Welker. We start off with Randy Moss. His numbers weren't bad at all. It took him a little while to form a rapport with Matt Castle. Guess what? Tom Brady is now going to come back, so expect big numbers from Moss. Then when it comes to Brandon Marshall, again, this is a guy who missed some time also in the beginning of the year because of suspension, but still put up over 1,200 receiving yards. I'd like to see some more touchdowns, but who's going to really complain? And then Reggie Wayne had a mediocre year considering it was him. A guy usually put up over 1,300 receiving yards, barely got over 1,100 this year. But unlike Marvin Harrison, this isn't a guy who's getting too old quite yet, so I think this is a guy who should still be somewhat in his prime. And finally, I mentioned Wes Welker, not necessarily a big touchdown threat, but whether it's Castle or Brady, they find ways to get him the ball, particularly if you're in a points per reception league. Wes Welker has great deals of value. And as far as those you don't want to hang on to, Plaxico Burress, he might end up in jail for all we know. This is not a guy you want to take a gamble on with your fantasy team. TJ Houshmandzadeh could be very good next year, but again, a disappointing season and some question marks as far as that Bengals offense, so that's probably a guy you don't want to hold on to. Braylon Edwards has plenty to prove, especially once we find out who the quarterback is in Cleveland. So a lot of things going on there. Braylon Edwards, a guy you might want to draft rather than hold. And then Marcus Colston, yeah, he's put up some great numbers, but he's also been incredibly injury prone throughout his career. For that reason, a guy that you want to keep, and not keep rather, allow go on the waiver wire. You can try to pick him up in the draft next year. Again, some other names who we're going to look forward to when it comes to draft, but not necessarily to keep. Lance Moore, Eddie Royal, Deshaun Jackson had a very nice rookie year with Donovan McNabb. Dwayne Bowe had a very nice second year. Vincent Jackson had a breakout year for San Diego. All those guys could be good gets next year, but not necessarily valuable enough to hold on to. My friends, that's It's a Shaw Thing for now. If you have any fantasy questions, definitely email us, fantasy@opensports.com.
Think you can complete the drive? Play today and get an automatic entry to win daily prizes, 2 tickets to the big game, and a brand new car. Start your drive today at opensports.com.